Welcome back. I'm Pratap here. Today is the 7th February 2025. In this video, I'm going to generate different supply demand zone reports useful to the premium subscribers. Even before that, please understand we are providing complete free training on supply demand zone price action. Some of you might be knowing the cost of the training is over 8,000 US dollars. But we are providing complete free training, and all the training lessons are available at our NeoStock YouTube channel. At our channel homepage, you click on the tab Posts. Some of you might be seeing the tab Community. Click on the tab. You get access to this post. This post is having a YouTube playlist link that will take you to all the training lessons. You just click on the link. We are at Supply Demand Zone Price Action course, YouTube playlist. I kept all the training lessons in this playlist. You need to start our training from lesson 1.1. The lesson is placed at the bottom of the page. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. Here, starting from lesson 1.1, all the training lessons are placed in an order. So please go through all these lessons one by one and strengthen your skills related to supply demand zone price action. And also learn this course according to the training instructions I mentioned at our Telegram channel. I provided the link to our Telegram channel in this video description. Please join in the Telegram channel. At the top of the Telegram channel window, you may find pinned messages. Click on the pinned messages. There you can find all the training instructions. So learn the course according to those training instructions. Definitely you will become a very good independent trader in 3 months time period. Now let's get into the report generation with the help of NeoStock Software Supply Demand Zone Top-Down Analysis Strategy Builder. And today is also a weekend. I am going to generate few additional weekly reports also. First, let me start with the yearly time frame. Price closed inside the yearly demand zone. We got 3 stocks. I am giving you only few seconds time to watch the report, so I request you pause the video, study the report, and then you can proceed to the next reports. In case if you did not understand the structure of this report, all these columns, abbreviations, everything I explained in lesson 21.1. So please complete lesson 21.1 before you look into these reports. Okay, next, yearly time frame. Price closed inside the yearly supply zone. No stocks are available. Next time frame is a half yearly. Stocks near half yearly demand zone. We have 1 stock is filtered. Next half yearly time frame, stocks near half yearly supply zone, no stocks are available. Next half yearly time frame, price closed inside the half yearly demand zone, 6 stocks are filtered. Next half yearly time frame, price closed inside the half yearly supply zone, 3 stocks are filtered. Next time frame is quarterly, stocks near quarterly demand zone, 2 stocks are filtered. Next quarterly time frame, stocks near quarterly supply zone, 4 stocks are filtered. Next quarterly time frame, price closed inside the quarterly demand zone. We got 28 stocks. First 23 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 28 stocks are filtered. We can further filter this list based on quarterly EMA Confluence. So in the EMA Confluence filter, at quarterly time frame, I am setting the filter quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. And the trend at a quarterly time frame should not be sideways in the EMA confluence. So it can be up or down. With these filters, we got 17 stocks. Okay. Next, quarterly time frame. Price closed inside the quarterly supply zone. We got 4 stocks. Let's verify out of these 4, any of these zones are having quarterly EMA confluence, the supply zones. So in the EMA confluence at quarterly time frame, I am setting the filter quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence, and trend on the quarterly time frame is either up or down. With these filters, we got 3 stocks. Okay, this is about quarterly time frame. Next time frame is monthly. Stocks near monthly demand zone. We got 4 stocks. Next, monthly time frame. Stocks near monthly supply zone. We got 9 stocks. Next, monthly time frame. Price closed inside the monthly demand zone. We got 36 stocks. First 18 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 36 stocks are filtered. We can further filter this list based on EMA, monthly EMA confluence for monthly demand zones. So let's set that filter. In the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence, and trend on the monthly time frame is either up or down. With these filters, we got 14 stocks. So these 14 monthly demand zones are having monthly EMA confluence. Okay, next, price closed inside the monthly supply zone, entry time frame monthly. Price closed inside monthly supply zone. We got 9 stocks. We can further filter this list based on monthly supply zone having monthly EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence at monthly time frame, I am setting the filter monthly supply zone having monthly EMA confluence, and trend on the monthly time frame is either up or down. So with these filters, we got 4 stocks. So in these 4 stocks, these 4 monthly supply zones are having monthly EMA confluence. And a couple of these monthly supply zones are pierced supply zones. So this is about monthly time frame. Next time frame is weekly, and we will also generate some additional reports on weekly because it is the end of the week. So weekly time frame, stocks near weekly demand zone. We got 11 stocks. Next, weekly time frame, stocks near weekly supply zone. We got 11 stocks. Next, weekly time frame, price closed inside the weekly demand zone. We got 61 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 61 stocks are filtered. Price closed inside weekly demand zone. We can further filter this list based on weekly demand zones having weekly EMA confluence. So let's set that filter on the 61 stocks. In the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, setting the filter weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence. And when you set EMA confluence, the trend on weekly should not be sideways. So I am selecting up or down trend. So with these filters, we got 9 stocks out of 61. The list is filtered only 9 stocks. So these weekly demand zones are having weekly EMA confluence and also current price closed inside the weekly demand zone. And some of these weekly demand zones are pierced zones. You can use pierced zone strategies, land in lesson 28. Next, weekly time frame, price closed inside the weekly supply zone. We got 37 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. I'm scrolling the list down. So total 37 stocks are filtered. We can further filter this list based on weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence filter at weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence, and trend on the weekly time frame should be either up or down. So with these filters from 37, the list is come down to 16 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 16 stocks are filtered, where all these weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA confluence. And some of the supply zones are pierced supply zones. And a few more additional reports on weekly time frame. So weekly time frame, let us find the tested zones, weekly demand zones during this week. The stocks having tested weekly demand zones. So these 7 stocks are having tested weekly demand zones. Those zones are tested during this week. And some stocks tested and moving towards the supply zone. Some stocks tested and price closed inside the demand zone. Okay, next, weekly time frame. Let us find the stocks having tested weekly supply zones during this week. So total 23 stocks having weekly supply zones are tested during this week. First 16 stocks in this list. BANKNIFTY weekly supply zone is tested during this week. NIFTY metals also tested. Okay, I'm scrolling the list down. So these 23 stocks are having weekly supply zones and they were tested during this week. Okay, next let us identify newly created weekly demand and supply zones during this week. So weekly time frame, let us find the newly created demand zones, weekly demand zones during this week. So these 5 stocks having weekly demand zones are created during this week. Remember, 5th one is not created during this week. Then why it is displaying? See, software always displays the nearest to the current. If you look into the chart, probably there could be a LOTL zone inside this. That's why the exact zone is not displayed here. But you look into the chart, there could be a LOTL zone might be created. And remaining weekly zones are created during this week. Okay, next, for weekly time frame, let us find the stocks having newly created weekly supply zones. So this stock is having newly created weekly supply zone, and this supply zone is created during this week. Look into the leg out candle. This is the weekly timestamp. The open price of this week is 3rd, the Monday. Okay, next we will also further list based on this zone confluence also. LTF, ITF, HTF zone confluence, supported stocks. Let us assume weekly is LTF. Let us assume that way we will filter. For weekly time frame, I want all the zones, maybe near or inside or maybe far away from the demand zones. But LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence should support all the 3. That is weekly, monthly and quarterly. So let me set all the 3 filters. First, weekly demand zone having a confluence with monthly demand zone. Weekly demand zone having confluence with quarterly demand zone. And also monthly demand zone having confluence with quarterly demand zone. With all the 3 filters, let us check how many stocks we are going to get. So total we got 41 stocks. Further we can filter based on quarterly EMA confluence, because everything is part of quarterly zone. First let me scroll the list down for your reference purpose. Okay, 41. We can further reduce this list because weekly and monthly together part of the quarterly zone. Let us verify. Quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence parameter at quarterly time frame, I am setting quarterly demand zone having quarterly EMA, but trend on the quarterly should not be sideways. So that's why in the quarterly time frame I am selecting up or down. With these filters, we got 23 stocks. First 17 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 23 stocks. Similarly, we can also look for weekly, monthly and quarterly supply zone confluence supported stocks. So weekly time frame. In the supply zone confluence, I am setting the 3 filters. Weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence, weekly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence, and monthly supply zone with quarterly supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters enabled, we got 8 stocks. So these 8 weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA confluence. Zone confluence. 8 weekly supply zones are having zone confluence with monthly and quarterly together. Out of these 8, we can also further filter based on the quarterly EMA confluence. So in the EMA confluence, quarterly time frame, quarterly supply zone having quarterly EMA confluence, And trend on the quarterly time frame should not be sideways, it can be up or down. With these filters, we got two stocks. And both these weekly supply zones are pierced supply zones. Okay, this is about weekly time frame. Next, let us look into the daily time frame. Entry time frame daily, let us find the stocks near daily demand zone. We got 6 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. First one is an indices, and moreover it is not listed in F&O, and also it is pierced, so we are ignoring. We don't have any high liquidity, high priority, high liquidity zones in this list. No high liquidity zones. Okay, next, daily time frame. Let us find the stocks near daily supply zone. We got 14 stocks. So let us identify high liquidity zones from this list. Supply zones. First one is a NIFTY IT, not listed in F&O, so ignoring that. OFSS, Oracle Financial Services, is having a high liquidity daily supply zone. That's it. We have only one valid high liquidity daily supply zone from this list. Okay, next, for daily time frame, price closed inside the daily demand zone. We got 6 stocks. Sorry, this is near demand zone. Price closed inside the daily demand zone. We got 29 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. I am scrolling the list down. So total 29 stocks are filtered. We can further filter this list based on the EMA Confluence. Daily demand zone having daily EMA Confluence. Let us set that filter in the EMA Confluence parameter at daily time frame. I am setting the filter daily demand zone having daily EMA Confluence. And the trend on the daily time frame is either up or down. So with these filters, we got 8 stocks. All these 8 demand zones are having, daily demand zones are having daily EMA Confluence. And current price closed inside the daily demand zone. NIFTY also listed. NIFTY, this demand zone is having daily EMA Confluence. But not a high liquidity zone, but having EMA Confluence. And daily trend is uptrend. So this is about price closed inside the daily demand zone. Next, for daily time frame, price closed inside the daily supply zone. We got 57 stocks. First 15 stocks in the list. Let me quickly scroll the list down. Later on, we will further filter with EMA Confluence. I am scrolling the list down. So total 57 stocks. Out of these 57 daily supply zones, how many daily supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence? Let us filter. So in the EMA Confluence, at a daily time frame, I am setting the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA Confluence. But when you set EMA Confluence, daily trend should not be sideways. That's why in the trend at a daily time frame, I am selecting either up or down. With these filters, the list is come down to 21 stocks. So first 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 21 stocks are filtered. Price closed inside the daily supply zone, and these daily supply zones are having daily EMA Confluence. So this is about daily time frame. Next time frame is 125 minutes. Stocks near 125 minutes demand zone. We got 13 stocks. Next 125 minutes time frame, stocks near 125 minutes supply zone. We got 8 stocks. Next time frame is 75 minutes. Entry time frame 75 minutes. Let us find the stocks near 75 minutes demand zone. We got 11 stocks. Out of these 11, let us identify 75 minutes high liquidity demand zones. Canara Bank, Home Financial, we got a high liquidity zone, 75 minutes high liquidity zone. NBCC is having a high liquidity zone. That's it. We have 2 high liquidity 75 minutes demand zones from this list. Okay, next. For 75 minutes time frame, let us find the stocks near 75 minutes supply zone. We got 15 stocks. Let us identify high liquidity 75 minute supply zones from this list. Godrej Consumer Properties is having a high liquidity 75 minute supply zone. MFSL is a PR zone. That's it. We have only one valid high liquidity 75 minute supply zone from this list. If anybody wants to try PR zone strategy, you can focus on MFSL. Okay, this is about 75 minutes time frame. Next time frame is 25 minutes. Stocks near 25 minutes demand zone. We got 6 stocks. Next, for 25 minutes time frame, stocks near 25 minutes supply zone. We got 8 stocks. Next time frame is 15 minutes. Stocks near 15 minutes demand zone. We got 21 stocks. First 15 stocks in the list. Scrolling the list down. So total 21 stocks. We can further filter this list based on the zone confluence. LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let's filter. That is 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling that filter. This filter is applied to those 21 stocks. Now list is come down to 6 stocks. In these 6, the third one is a PR zone, not valid. So remaining stocks, all the 15 minutes demand zones are overlapped with 75 minutes demand zone. Okay, next for 15 minutes time frame, stocks near 15 minutes supply zone. We got 6 stocks. Let us identify zone confluence based filter. Let us apply. So based on 15 minute supply zone with 75 minute supply zone confluence, I am enabling the filter. With this filter, we got 3 stocks. These 15 minute supply zones are overlapped with 75 minute supply zone. Next time frame is 5 minutes. Stocks near 5 minutes demand zone, we got 10 stocks. Let us identify how many of these 5 minutes demand zones are having ITF confluence. That is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. Now 8 stocks. All these 8 5 minutes demand zones are overlapped with 15 minutes demand zone. That is what demand zone confluence filter we applied. Next, for 5 minutes time frame, stocks near 5 minutes supply zone. Five minutes time frame, stocks near 5 minutes supply zone. We got 15 stocks. Out of these 15, how many supply zones are having ITF confluence? Let us identify. So in the supply zone confluence, I am setting the filter 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. With this filter, list is come down to 6 stocks. In all these 6 stocks, these 5 minute supply zones are overlapped with 15 minute supply zones. So this is about stocks near demand and supply zones for different time frames, and also identified price closed inside the demand and supply zones from yearly until daily time frame. Also we identified daily and 75 minutes high liquidity zones. Okay, next report is about NIFTY and BANKNIFTY supply demand zone chain. Let's start with NIFTY. Starting with monthly time frame, generating monthly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. So this is NIFTY monthly supply demand zone chain. Always look into the zone column to find the high liquidity zones. Look into the pierced column to find the pierced zone. Always look into the LTF trend to find the trend of the current time frame you have selected. Apply the same rules to the remaining supply demand zone chain reports. Okay, next, weekly supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 125 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 25 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for NIFTY. (28th) is the nearest demand zone to the current closing price. Let me put it in the center by scrolling the list down. Okay. Next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Nifty. All these are all supply zones. So I'm scrolling the list down to find the nearest demand zone to the current closing price. Okay, 44 is the nearest 5 minutes demand zone to the current closing price. Let me put it in the center so that you get some equal demand and supply zones. 43 is the nearest supply zone to the closing price. 44 is the nearest demand zone. Serial numbers. So this is about Nifty supply demand zone chain. Now let's move on to the Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. Bank Nifty, that is nothing but Nifty Bank, starting from monthly time frame. Monthly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, weekly supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, daily supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 125 minute supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 75 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Next, 15 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. This is the nearest demand zone. Next, 5 minutes supply demand zone chain for Bank Nifty. Twenty-third is the nearest 5 minutes demand zone. Let me put it in the center. So this is about Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. So this is about Nifty and Bank Nifty supply demand zone chain. Next reports are about bullish and bearish trade setups for monthly, weekly, daily and hourly income trades. Let us generate. Let's start with the bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. So entry time frame should be daily. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bullish. I am setting the filter zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum order enhancer score 12. Both these filters are applied to daily demand zone. Let's filter. Now we got 15 stocks. These 15 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. And entry time frame zones are daily demand zones. Some of these daily demand zones are already having high priority because they are high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can further filter based on the zone confluence also. First filter is the daily demand zone should be there inside the weekly demand zone. That means overlapped with weekly. Daily and weekly. That is LTF and ITF zone confluence. So let us filter based on that on these 15 stocks. So in the demand zone confluence, I am setting the filter daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With this filter, we got 8 stocks. In these 8 stocks, these daily demand zones are overlapped with weekly demand zones. That means daily zone is part of weekly. Because daily zone is part of weekly zone, if weekly zone is having weekly EMA confluence, then these daily zones, those daily zones should be even more high priority supported zones. Let us verify. Why we are setting? Because daily trend is, weekly trend is uptrend. That is ITF trend. So in the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, because daily zone is overlapped with weekly, so we are setting weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence filter. With this filter, we got 4 stocks. So these 4 daily demand zones are even more high probability trade setup supported daily demand zones. Moreover, out of these 4, HDFC Bank is near the demand zone, but not high liquidity demand zone, but it is having zone confluence with ITF and EMA confluence. Okay, next we will filter based on LTF, ITF and HTF demand zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter because it is ITF specific. Now we should focus on HTF specific. So in the demand zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, daily with weekly. Second filter, daily demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. Third filter, weekly demand zone with monthly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. Very good. HDFC Bank near the demand zone, also having monthly zone confluence. What does it mean? This daily demand zone is overlapped with weekly demand zone. Both together again overlapped with monthly demand zone. And monthly trend is up in all the 3 stocks. If any of these 3 stocks are having monthly demand zone with monthly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, monthly time frame, monthly demand zone having monthly EMA confluence filter is enabled. With this filter, we got all the 3 stocks. So these 3 are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, this is a bullish trade setup for monthly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Entry time frame is daily. Entry zone should be supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup parameter, at entry time frame daily, I am selecting bearish. And the 2 filters I am setting are zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhanced score 12. Both the filters are applied to daily supply zone. Let us filter the stocks. We got 3 stocks. In these 3 stocks, these daily supply zones are overlapped with weekly supply zone. Both together overlapped with monthly supply zone. So such kind of mechanism we should identify. So first let's start with daily and weekly supply zone confluence supported stocks. So I am enabling the filter, daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. All the 3 are filtered. Now let's verify, because all are downtrend, weekly trend. Let's check these weekly supply zones are having weekly EMA, because daily zone is, supply zone is a part of the weekly supply zone. So in the EMA confluence at a weekly time frame, I am enabling the filter, weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence. With this filter, we got all the 3 stocks. That means all the 3 stocks are high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, we will also further verify based on the LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing this EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, daily with weekly supply zone confluence. Second filter, daily supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. Third filter, weekly supply zone with monthly supply zone confluence. With all the three filters, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got only one stock. So this daily supply zone is overlapped with weekly supply zone, both together overlapped with monthly supply zone. And monthly trend is sideways. Sideways EMA confluence does not add any extra advantage, so we are not looking for EMA confluence. So this is about bearish trade setup for monthly income trade. Okay, next weekly income trades we will generate, bullish and bearish trade setups. First, bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at entry time frame 75 minutes, I am selecting bullish. Okay, now for this 75 minutes demand zone, we need to set three filters. First filter is 75 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at entry time frame 75 minutes, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means pierced count should be 0. Pierced count 0 means zone is not pierced. Okay. Next, zone achievement, violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhanced score 12. All three filters are applied to 75 minutes demand zone. Now we got 9 stocks. These 9 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for weekly income trade, and entry time frame is 75 minutes demand zones, entry zones. So we have 9 75 minutes demand zones are there, and among these 975, some are already high liquidity demand zones. So that means these zones are already having some high probability to get success. We can further look for even more high probability to get the success. So first filter is LTF and ITF demand zone. Next we will filter LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. So first filter is the zone confluence, 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. With this filter, the list is come down to 8 stocks. So in all these 8 stocks, these demand zones are overlapped with 75 minutes demand zones are overlapped with daily demand zone. And daily trend is uptrend in all these stocks, ITF trend. Because 75 minutes demand zone is part of daily demand zone. If daily demand zone is having daily EMA confluence, then those zones could be even more high probability trade setup supported zones. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence, at a daily time frame, daily demand zones having daily EMA confluence, this filter is enabled. Now we got 5 stocks. All these 5 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported 75 minutes demand zones, all these demand zones. Because they are overlapped with daily, that daily zone is having daily EMA confluence. Okay. So this is about LTF and ITF based filter. Next, LTF, ITF, HTF based filter, let us apply. I am removing EMA filter, this is ITF specific. Now we should focus on HTF specific, LTF, ITF, HTF. So in the demand zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, 75 with daily demand zone confluence. Second filter, 75 minutes demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. Daily demand zone with weekly demand zone confluence. With all the 3 filters enabled, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 4 stocks. So in these 4 stocks, these 75 minutes demand zones are overlapped with daily demand zone. Both together again overlapped with weekly demand zone. And weekly trend is up in all the 3 stocks, first 3 stocks. Fourth one is sideways, we can ignore it. So in the remaining first 3 stocks, if any of them are having weekly demand zone with weekly EMA confluence, then those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks to get the success. Let's verify. So in the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, weekly demand zone having weekly EMA confluence filter is enabled, and the trend on weekly should be uptrend but not sideways. Why up? Because it is bullish trade setup. Now all the 3 stocks are supporting, even more high probability, because weekly zones are having weekly EMA confluence in all the 3 stocks. So that's why these 3 75 minutes demand zones are even more high probability trade setup supported zones. Maybe that is the reason why Bharti Airtel, you see, already tested 5 times. 5 rejections from this zone. Okay. So this is about a bullish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Entry time frame is 75 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 75 minutes time frame, I am selecting bearish. And this 75 minute supply zone, we should set 3 filters. First filter, 75 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score 12. All 3 filters are applied to 75 minute supply zone. Let's filter. We got 12 stocks. And all these 12 stocks are supporting bearish trade setup for weekly income trade, and entry time frame zones are 75 minute supply zone. Out of these 12 75 minute supply zones, some are high liquidity zones. They are already having some high probability. Okay, apart from that, we should also further look for more probability based on the zone confluence. So 2 filters we use. First filter is LTF and ITF, supply zone confluence, that is 75 minutes and daily supply zone confluence. I am enabling the filter 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With this filter, out of 12, we got 10 stocks. In these 10 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are overlapped with daily supply zones. And daily trend is down in all these stocks, ITF trend. Because 75 minute supply zone is overlapped with daily supply zone, and if daily supply zone is having daily EMA confluence, then these zones are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, at daily time frame, I am setting the filter daily supply zone having daily EMA confluence. With this filter, now the list is come down to 4 stocks. So these 4 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, next filter is LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. That is 75 minutes daily and weekly supply zone confluence. I am removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, 75 with daily. Second filter, 75 minute supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. Third filter, daily supply zone with weekly supply zone confluence. With all the three filters, we got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, these 75 minute supply zones are overlapped with daily supply zone. Again, both together overlapped with weekly supply zone. That means all are part of the weekly zone. And if weekly supply zone is having weekly EMA confluence, they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. But weekly trend should be downtrend. So we have 4 stocks, second to fifth. First one, we can ignore that. So let us look for weekly supply zone with weekly EMA confluence. Our 75 minute supply zone is inside the weekly supply zone or overlapped with the weekly supply zone. So in the EMA confluence, weekly time frame, I am setting the filter weekly supply zone having weekly EMA confluence, and the trend on the weekly time frame, it should not be sideways, it should be downtrend because it is bearish trade setup. Let's filter. We got all the 4 stocks. So all these 4 stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported, bearish trade setup supported weekly income trade. So this is about bearish trade setup for weekly income trade. Next we will look for daily income trade bullish and bearish trade setups. First one is a daily income trade bullish trade setup. Entry time frame 15 minutes. Entry zone demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup at 15 minutes entry time frame, I am selecting bullish, and these 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means 15 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. Zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhanced score 12, and all the 3 filters are applied to 15 minutes demand zone. So with these filters we got 9 stocks. So these 9 stocks are currently supporting bullish trade setup for daily income trade, and entry time frame zones are 15 minutes demand zones. All these 9 demand zones are 15 minutes demand zones, and some of these 15 minutes demand zones are already having priority because they are high liquidity zones. Apart from that, we can further look for even more high probability based on the zone confluence. We have 2 filters in zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF demand zone confluence. Let us set that filter. In the demand zone confluence, I am enabling the filter 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. LTF is 15 minutes, ITF is 75 minutes. So with this filter, now the list is come down to 6 stocks. So in these 6 stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are overlapped with 75 minutes demand zone. That means 15 minutes demand zone is part of the 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes trend, ITF trend, is uptrend in all these stocks. So if 75 minutes demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, then those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. So in the EMA confluence at 75 minutes time frame, why 75 minutes? Because 15 minutes demand zone is overlapped with 75. That's why we are looking for 75 minutes demand zone is having daily EMA confluence or not, we are verifying. So let's filter. We got 2 stocks. So these 2 demand zones are even more high probability trade setup supported 15 minutes demand zones. Okay, this is LTF and ITF specific. Next, LTF, ITF and HTF specific. I am removing EMA filter. In the demand zone confluence, 3 filters we have to set. First filter is already enabled, 15 minutes with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. Second filter is 15 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence. Third filter, 75 minutes demand zone with daily demand zone confluence with all the three filters, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence. We got three stocks. In these three stocks, these 15 minutes demand zones are overlapped with daily demand zone, 75 minutes demand zone, both together again overlapped with daily demand zone. And daily trend is up in all the three stocks, HTF trend. If daily demand zone is having daily EMA confluence, then those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify. In the EMA confluence, at a daily time frame, I am setting the filter. Daily demand zone having daily EMA confluence. With this filter, we got all the three stocks. So they are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, this is about a bullish trade setup for daily income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Entry time frame is 15 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 15 minutes entry time frame, I am selecting bearish. Now we should set three filters on this 15 minutes supply zone. First filter is 15 minutes supply zone should not be pierced. So that's why in the pierced count parameter at entry time frame 15 minutes, I am selecting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. That means 15 minute supply zone is not pierced, should not be pierced. And zone achievement should be violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhancer score should be 12. All three filters are applied to 15 minute supply zone. So with these filters, we got 6 stocks. So that means all these 6 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for daily income trade. And entry time frame zones are 15 minute supply zones. Out of these 6 15 minute supply zones, some supply zones are already having high liquidity. That way they got some high probability to get success. We can also further add more success rate. We will filter more success rate supported stocks. That means more high probability. So that is based on the zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 15 minutes and 75 minutes supply zone confluence. That means 15 minute zone should be overlapped with 75 minute supply zone. So we enabled that filter. We got 6 stocks. In all these 6 stocks, these 15 minute supply zones are overlapped with 75 minute supply zone. Because they are overlapped inside 75 minute supply zone, and if 75 minutes supply zone is having EMA and also trend is down here, there could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks to get the success. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting the filter 75 minute supply zone having daily EMA confluence. With this filter, we got 3 stocks. So these 3 15 minute supply zones are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. In the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled. That is 15 minutes with 75 minute supply zone confluence. Second filter is 15 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. Third filter is 75 minute supply zone with daily supply zone confluence. With all the 3 filters, LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. In all the 3 stocks, these 15 minute supply zones are overlapped with 75 minute supply zone, both together again overlapped with daily supply zone. And daily is HTF. Daily trend is down in first and third stocks. Second one sideways, you can ignore it. So in the remaining 2 stocks, if any daily zone is having, daily supply zone is having daily supply, daily EMA Confluence, then those two stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify they are having a daily EMA Confluence or not. So in the EMA Confluence at a daily time frame, why daily? Because the 15 minutes together with 75 minutes supply zone is overlapped with daily. That's why we are looking for daily supply zone having daily EMA Confluence or not. But the trend should not be sideways. So that's why in the trend on daily time frame I am selecting down, because it is bearish trade setup. So both these stocks are filtered. Both the stocks having downtrend are filtered. So these two are even more high probability trade setup supported supply zones. So this is about a bearish trade setup for daily income trade. Okay, next hourly income trade, bullish and bearish trade setups. First, hourly income trade, bullish trade setup. Entry time frame 5 minutes. Entry zone, demand zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 5 minutes time frame I am selecting bullish, and 5 minutes demand zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count at 5 minutes time frame I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0, zone achievement violated opposing zone, minimum odd enhancer score 12. All three filters are applied to 5 minutes demand zone. Let us filter the stocks. We got 4 stocks. Currently these 4 stocks are supporting bullish trade setup for hourly income trade. Entry time frame is 5 minutes demand zones. Okay, out of these 4 5 minutes demand zone, how many are having ITF Confluence? Let us verify. That is 5 minutes demand zone with 15 minutes demand zone confluence. I am enabling the filter. With this filter, out of 4, we got all the 4 stocks. So in all these 4 stocks, this 5 minutes demand zone is overlapped with 15 minutes demand zone. So because 5 minutes demand zone is inside 15 minutes demand zone, if that 15 minutes demand zone is having daily EMA Confluence, maybe those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Mostly we may not get, but let us verify, sometimes we may get. In the EMA Confluence, 15 minutes time frame, 15 minutes demand zone having daily EMA Confluence. Oh, 2 stocks are filtered. So these 2 are even more high probability compared to the remaining stocks. They have higher success rate. It doesn't mean they success or they fail. Compared to others, they have better success rate. Sometimes they may fail also if the trend is changing and these zones are at the exactly at the trend change time, they may violate. See, lower time frames, what happens frequently, trend changes will take place. At the time, zones will be violated. Okay, next let us look for LTF, ITF, HTF zone confluence. Removing EMA filter. LTF, ITF, HTF. That is 5 minutes, 15 minutes and 75 minutes demand zone confluence. Already first filter is enabled. Next 5 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. 15 minutes demand zone with 75 minutes demand zone confluence. With all the 3 zone confluence, LTF, ITF, HTF demand zone confluence, we got 3 stocks. So in all the 3 stocks, this 5 minutes demand zone is overlapped with 15 minutes demand zone. Both together again overlapped with 75 minutes demand zone. And 75 minutes trend is up in first 2 stocks. If any of those 75 minutes demand zones are having daily EMA confluence, then those stocks are even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let us verify first 2 stocks. In the EMA confluence at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting the filter 75 minutes demand zone having daily EMA confluence, and the 75 minutes trend should not be sideways, it should be up because it is bullish trade setup. So one stock is filtered. So this is even more high probability trade setup. Moreover, it is a 5 minutes high liquidity zone. Okay, this is the bullish trade setup for hourly income trade. Next, bearish trade setup for hourly income trade. Entry time frame is 5 minutes. Entry zone is supply zone. In bullish or bearish trade setup, at 5 minutes time frame, I am selecting bearish. And we need to set 3 filters on 5 minute supply zone. First one is 5 minute supply zone should not be pierced. So in the pierced count, at 5 minutes entry time frame, I am setting minimum value 0, maximum value 0. Zone achievement is violated opposing zone. Minimum odd enhanced score is 12. All 3 filters are applied to 5 minute supply zone. So we got 9 stocks. All these 9 stocks are currently supporting bearish trade setup for hourly income trade. And entry time frame zones are 5 minute supply zones. And some of these 5 minute supply zones are high liquidity supply zones. That way they got some probability to get some additional success rate. Apart from that, we will also look for even more high probability based on the zone confluence. First filter is LTF and ITF supply zone confluence. That is 5 minutes and 15 minutes supply zone confluence. So I am enabling the filter 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. With this filter, now the list is come down to 6 stocks. That means in these 6 stocks, these 5 minute supply zones are overlapped with 15 minute supply zone. And 15 minutes trend is down in all these stocks because it is bearish trade setup, ITF trend. And if any of these 15 minute supply zones are having daily EMA confluence, those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup supported stocks. Let's verify. In the EMA confluence at 15 minutes time frame, I am setting the filter 15 minute supply zone having daily EMA confluence or not. So with this filter, we got one stock. So this 5 minute supply zone is even more high probability trade setup supported zone. Okay, this is based on LTF and ITF. Next we will further filter based on LTF, ITF and HTF supply zone confluence. I am removing this EMA filter because it is ITF specific. Now we should focus on HTF specific. So in the supply zone confluence, we should set 3 filters. First filter is already enabled, 5 minute supply zone with 15 minute supply zone confluence. Second filter is 5 minute supply zone confluence with 75 minute supply zone. Third filter is 15 minute supply zone confluence with 75 minute supply zone. With all the 3 filters enabled, LTF, ITF, HTF supply zone confluence, we got 5 stocks. In all these 5 stocks, these 5 minute supply zones are overlapped with the 15 minute supply zone, and then both together again overlapped with 75 minute supply zone, and 75 minutes is high HTF, and HTF trend is down in only 2 stocks. If these 2 stocks, if any of these stocks are having the 75 minute supply zone with daily EMA confluence, then those stocks could be even more high probability trade setup to get the success. Let us verify. So in the EMA confluence at 75 minutes time frame, I am setting the filter 75 minute supply zone having daily EMA confluence or not. And also trend on 75 minutes time frame should not be sideways, it should be downtrend because it is bearish trade setup. So with this filter, we got 1 stock. So this is a high probability trade setup supported stock. So this is a bearish trade setup for hourly income trade. With this we have generated all the income trade reports. And in the final report, let us generate stop buffers based on the daily ATR. So these are the daily ATRs, different stop buffers generated based on daily ATR. First 17 in this list are indices, remaining all are equity stocks. Okay, I'm scrolling the list down. Whichever the stock you want to refer, there you pause the video. After that you can proceed further. Okay, I'm scrolling the list down. So this is the end of the report. Hope this information will be useful to you for your further study and analysis. Let's all meet again in our next video. Thank you.